Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Seerah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, part 15. In all these incidents I've related to you, Abdul Muttalib looking for Zamzam water and the way that the people opposed him, they didn't let him dig, they tried to stop him. And then once he uncovered the treasure and the Zamzam well, they argued with him about the distribution of the relics of the Kaaba. They said that they should come to us. And then also they opposed him regarding the possession of the Zamzam well, that we should have a share in it. And so the people had troubled Abdul Muttalib a lot. It'd been a rough journey for Abdul Muttalib. Although he was a chieftain, although he was honored and respected, and yet people had opposed him. And when Abdul Muttalib then came back to Makkah, and he made it like a reservoir of the water of Zamzam, and he said to the people that you can take water from here, everyone is free to take from here, because Abdul Muttalib was very generous. People, they started taking the mick there as well. As people do, they started taking advantage. And so people started coming and bathing, having baths in that reservoir and making a real mess. And Abdul Muttalib tried to advise people that please, you can benefit from the well, but please don't make a mess. But people carried on. So Abdul Muttalib then prayed to Allah. Oh Allah, I've made this water for drinking and not for having bath in. So Allah, please stop people. And so what happened was, Allah Ta'ala's help came again. That whoever then after that used to have a bath in it, they'd get afflicted with an illness. And when a few cases like that happened, then people, they realized that, hang on, we shouldn't be messing with this water. And so people stopped. So anyway, Abdul Muttalib has been traumatized quite a bit by the opposition of the people. People have given him quite a hard time. And he's faced a lot of opposition. And remember, he only had one son who was called Haris. And remember, when he started to dig the Zamzam well with his son, then the Quraysh came and tried to stop him. And then he said to Haris, he said, you stand here and you defend me and don't let anyone come close. So because of all this opposition and because of all this suffering, Abdul Muttalib made a dua to Allah. He said, oh Allah, I'm on my own, I've only got one son, these people are harassing me, they've given me such a hard time, I've gone through all of this with them. So, Ya Allah, give me more sons. And then he said, oh Allah, if you give me 10 sons, then I'll sacrifice one of them for you. This is called a nadar. Even in Islam now, we can do nadar, meaning, if somebody is ill in your family, then you can say that, oh Allah, if you make the person better, I'll keep 30 nafil rosas. You can do that. When I was a young lad, about 6, 7 years old, my mum was quite ill in and out of hospital. So I remember my elder sister telling me that you should make a promise to Allah, because Allah loves that. And so say to Allah that, oh Allah, make mum better. I'll pray 10 rakats, nafil namaz, or I'll keep a roza, or I'll give money in sadaqah or something like that. So I remember doing that. It's called nazar. So Abdul Muttalib, he did this. He said, oh Allah, I pledge, if you give me 10 sons, if you accept my du'as, I've only got one son, if you give me 10 sons, then in exchange, I'll sacrifice one of the sons for you. Okay, now he said this at the time, thinking that it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get 10 sons from one son. All of a sudden, then I end up with 10 sons. It's not going to happen. So he'd said it maybe out of Josh, he got a bit carried away and he said this. But he'd made the pledge to Allah. And he remembered that I've made this pledge. And so as time passed, Allah Ta'ala blessed him with one son after the other. One son after another, until eventually the 10th son, Abdullah, the father of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was born. And Abdul Muttalib was very happy, and the people were very happy for him as well. Now he was not only a chieftain, but he had this army with him. Now nobody could mess with him. So although all the people were happy for him, and he was happy also, but he knew about this pledge that he'd made to Allah, this secret promise. And so this was weighing heavy on his shoulders. It was hanging over his head, thinking that now I've got this son, the son's growing up, and I've promised Allah that I'll sacrifice one of the sons from these 10 sons. So I'm going to have to carry out this promise. Because he was a God-fearing person. He was on the deen of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he did as he said. So now he's got all the support of 10 sons. Nobody's harassing him, nobody's messing with him, but now he's got this other dilemma. And so when the sons had grown up, and Abdullah was also maybe in his teens, then Abdul Muttalib decided that now is the time to fulfill my pledge. So he took his 10 sons into the Kaaba. And remember, in the Kaaba they had the idols, and the one in the middle was Hubal, the main one. And that's where they used to draw lots. So he went in there and he got arrows and he put all the sons' names on there. And then he drew lots, drew an arrow. So when he did this, Allah ka karna, the working of Allah, the hikmat of Allah, that the name of the most beloved son of his and the youngest son, Abdullah, his name came out. And all the sons were there. And so Abdul Muttalib said, let's do it again. So he did it again, and again Abdullah's name came out. And just to make sure, again, he did it a third time, and again the name of Abdullah was drawn. So then he knew that this is it. There's no doubting this. This one is the chosen son, and I'm going to have to sacrifice him, although I love him the most. And so Abdullah emerged from the Kaaba with, Abdul Muttalib emerged from the Kaaba with Abdullah. And the women of his tribe and his wives and some of his daughters, he had daughters as well, they had heard about this pledge and they knew that Abdul Muttalib has gone into the Kaaba. So they made inquiries, why is he doing this? Why is he taking all his sons into the Kaaba? And in the meantime, they had found out that the thing is, he's going to find out which son to sacrifice from his 10 sons. And so when he appeared on the door of Kaaba with Abdullah, the women, they were already scared. But when they saw Abdullah, they said, no, you can't do this. So they came to Abdul Muttalib and they started begging him. And his wives, they started forcing him. In particular, the mother of Abdullah, the wife that was the wife of Abdul Muttalib, who was the mother of Abdullah, she said, no, I can't let this happen. You can't sacrifice this son, not Abdullah. So then Abdul Muttalib said, look, my hands are tied, I can't do anything. I've made a pledge to Allah and I'm not going to break that promise. I made the promise years ago when I thought it's not going to happen, but now it's happened. I've got 10 sons, I'm going to have to sacrifice one. And now I've been to the Kaaba and I've drawn lots and it's him, it has to happen. And I'm not going to break my pledge. So the people, the women, realized that, and his sons also joined in and they said, come on, please, not Abdullah. So then and on the other side, Abdul Muttalib is saying, but what am I supposed to do? I'm going to fulfill my promise. So then somebody came up with the idea. They knew that Abdul Muttalib was going to fulfill his promise, but they wanted a way out to save Abdullah. So they said that, okay, let's go to a soothsayer, a fortune teller, and let's ask her what to do.